Welcome to the bold analysis. Political compromise disguised as handshake is the worst monster that Kenyans should never entertain again. Days after Rigathi Gachagua raised an alarm about some 5-acre piece of land being hived from Karura from Ngong Forest, and he alleged that the president himself was responsible for that grabbing, and a hotel was being built there. We went quiet on this matter. But in an interesting twist today, the ODM Party Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, shockingly joined Rigathi Gachagua seeking answers on this explosive revelation. And that is why in this podcast, I want to explain how Rigathi is clearly infiltrating William Ruto's inner circle. And while we can listen to what the politicians are saying, then we must be very careful from what Rigathi says. I think it is not enough just to say he's talking because he's angry. He has something and is getting feed from somewhere. Before get into these details, I want to humbly request you to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. Thank you very much for supporting this podcast. I know this is your best political podcast because here you get a new perspective about anything and everything, whether you've seen it in the mainstream media or from the other blogs, but here you'll get a different perspective of this. So make sure you watch to the end. During Obina's show, Rigathi Gachagua made that allegation. And then the next day, when attending an event in Gatanga, in Murang'a, I think that was in Murang'a County, Rigathi made this clear.
Wajinga waliisha katika sehemu hili na hakuna mtu ya kudanganywa. Ile wanaendelea nayo ni wizi ya mashamba. Pale Gong Road wameiba 5 acres imekatwa leo usiku. Na wale watu wamepewa kiwanja ya kujenga ile ya Talanta Hela. Wanaambiwa wajengee rais hoteli hapo ikiwa ni commission yake kwa hiyo kazi ya kujenga stadium. Wizi ya mashamba ndio imezidi. Na huyu Arap mashamba. Si mnajua Arap mashamba? Sasa amechukua 5 acres pale Gong Road. Na hiyo watu contractor ambaye anajenga hiyo stadium ya Talanta Hela ndio anamjengea hiyo hoteli kama commission yake ya kumpatia hiyo kazi. Na hii ndio maneno tunataka tukomeshe. Na tutakuja kukomesha.
That something is going on sinister in Ngong Forest. And you remember that during the interview with Obina that lasted for more than 3 hours, it's clear that the state decided to plaque his sentiments on elections, where he talked about post-election violence. And that is what Kenya Kwanza amplified. That is what Kenya Kwanza leaders amplified, even threatening to arrest him. Then looking at now this revelation, it is a bit clear that even the arrest was just a diversionary tactic. Rigathi Gachagua made many statements during that interview, and they just plaqued that one. And probably it is because they just wanted to divert the attention of people. They resorted to empty threats just to set the agenda for the country. And since that interview, the agenda of the country has been about Rigathi arrest. They know where Rigathi is, and if they really wanted to arrest Rigathi, they could do it. But that was just an agenda. I also feel like we also let you down. Not even the media, mainstream media, tried to interrogate about that statement from Rigathi Gachagua. And Kenya Kwanza has really trapped the country. That whenever Rigathi Gachagua raises something, they comfortably shove it off by saying two things: that he's impeached, he is bitter, he's a tribalist. So I think then there is a lesson we need to gather from this. Instead of falling for the dismissive approach that Rigathi receives, we need to say, wait a minute, what he's saying, can we interrogate? And I think now, moving forward, it'll have to be taken very serious. Remember, there is no cabinet resolution anywhere about a hotel being built in Ngong Forest. No cabinet resolution. No budgetary allocation from any state department related to that. And I don't think government can build hotels this time. I don't even know whether that will be a priority. Now, this story, or rather this hotel, this controversial hotel, is touching four ministries, but major ones are three. Tourism, hotel falls under the Ministry of Tourism. The Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, led by Rebecca Miano. The issue of Ngong Forest preservation falls under the Ministry of Environment. That is by one, Deborah Mlongo. And because there is land, you can also, the issue of the title deeds and all that, the person who's having the title deed is the Ministry of Lands, Alice Wahome. None of the three has come out even to speak, to give a clarification about that statement. Even government spokesman, during his weekly briefings on Monday, he never touched on this matter. Now, far off, but I believe it's in the periphery. According to Rigathi Gachagua statement, the contractor who is constructing Talanta Stadium, and let me tell you that contractor, Talanta Stadium is constructed, the construction contract was awarded to China Road and Bridge Corporation, a subsidiary of China Communications Construction Company, a Chinese majority state-owned publicly traded multinational engineering and construction conglomerate. So the constructor is Chinese conglomerate. So even there is not much that have been said about that. And they said that it is that, according to Rigathi, it is that contractor who is being told, who has been told by the president, probably to build that hotel as probably a reward. Now, if you are keen, you will know. Unaona, the estate, is it? There is the estate around Athi River. Is it Great Wall of somewhere there? There were reports that ilijengwa na the Chinese as a reward kwa kupewa ile contract ya barabara. And quite a big investment has been there. I was somewhere in Kwale. Someone told me there is also another big estate imebuildiwa Chinese just as a reward for that. So this is something that is often there. But we all kept quiet until today. The ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who is allied to ODM party, raised this matter in Senate and asking for the government to give some clarity on what exactly is happening, the issue, the story around that hotel.
Honorable Speaker, as a Kenyan leader, I know that we leaders have a responsibility to Kenyans and no other person. I was deeply embarrassed, Honorable Speaker, that at a time when people are being deported from our neighboring country, and if you look at my passport, Honorable Speaker, I have the blue passport. It says East Africa Community. When I was a member of the Law Society of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, at the council, we used to do something called, push for something called cross-border practice. There are lawyers who are qualified from the University of Dar es Salaam, Tanzanians, who practice law in our Kenyan courts. There are students at the Kenya School of Law from Tanzania and from Uganda. I know lawyers who went to Kampala International University and Makerere, who qualified there, and they have come to the Kenya School of Law. They are practicing law in Kenya. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, for us to have a situation where people cannot be allowed to move freely in the community is something that we must call out. Honorable Speaker, I have had people trying to justify, saying, oh, these are activists. Activism in itself, Honorable Speaker, is not a crime. I know Tanzanian law, there's no law that says activism is a crime, Honorable Speaker. So for me, I was deeply embarrassed to see our Foreign Affairs Minister, who should be our foremost defender, adopt a very nonchalant, a very laid-back, a very lazy attitude yesterday on Citizen, Honorable Speaker, that he has not even summoned the Tanzanian ambassador to ask him what was the reason why these brothers of ours were expelled. As we speak, there are Kenyans whose whereabouts are still unknown. Just show some concern for your countrymen. That is the job that you are given to do, Honorable Speaker. So I was a bit disappointed. And we need to, as a community of nations in East Africa, we must, Honorable Speaker, call out dictatorial tendencies whenever they emerge, because we are all brothers. If you ask Senator Eddie at his border in Isebania, people trade and cross over freely. We are brothers and sisters, and we cannot allow a situation where we have Kenyans being deported. At least when I was deported from Angola, I took it in stride. By the way, nobody in government bothered, Honorable Speaker. But I was okay, because me, I can take care of myself. Plus, Angola is far away. We don't share any borders. I don't think I know any Kenyan who's married to an Angolan. It was okay. But Tanzania are our brothers and sisters. And we must, Honorable Speaker, stand up for every Kenyan. This is the reason why, Honorable Speaker, when people start conversations about patriotism, it is very difficult to love a country that does not care about you. That I know that if I am in a quandary somewhere outside Kenya, the Kenyan government, or at least the CS for Foreign Affairs, will not care what happens to Sifuna. Honorable Speaker, it breaks my heart. If I was stuck in southern Lebanon when the war began, would this government really come for me? That is the question I ask myself. We are on our own. Then when we complain, people say, oh, you don't love your country. Love, Honorable Speaker, is reciprocal. You love me, I love you. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Wambu-Enoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
A position that was also echoed by Rigathi Gachagua allied senator, the senator from Murang'a, Joe Nyuto.
Wakasema kwamba walikuwa wanaondoa ile miti ya zamani ili kuweka miti ya kisasa, lakini walikuwa wanakata miti yote. Ikiwa walikuwa wanataka kuondoa miti ya zamani na kuleta miti ile mingine sasa ya kisasa, wangekuwa wanakata michache, wanaacha michache. Kwa hivyo wanapokata miti kwa kijumla, tunashuku kwamba kuna watu wanaotaka kufanya mijengo ndani ya misitu, na ni lazima Bwana Spika, kulingana na katiba, ni lazima kwamba kabla ya kukata miti katika msitu kwamba umma ulizwe maoni yao, waweze kutoa maoni, na ni lazima kamati ambayo itachunguza swala hili ituambie, je, umma ulihusishwa? Je, umma ulipohusishwa waliamua aje? Je, walipitisha kwamba hoteli ijengwe mle ndani ya msitu? Na hoteli ile inajengewa nani? Ni nani mwenye kujenga ile hoteli? Manake Bwana Spika, kilicho muhimu sana ni kujua kama ni nani anayejenga ndani ya hoteli, kwa sababu naamini yule ambaye anajenga ndani ya hoteli hii ndani ya msitu ni lazima ni mtu aliye na ushawishi mkubwa katika serikali.
So this is something that as now is now a conversation in public. Now, the operations of Kenya Forest Service is questionable. And today, there is a viral video I want to play for you of MP Gongoyo clashing with Kenya Forest officials about some tree cutting activity. They were cutting some tree. Then there's some contention about, I don't know, barabara and a tree. And I looked at that. I did not comprehend the whole context, but the MP was really blaming the Kenya Forest Services for the activity around that place.
Let me tell you, there is a threat to life. Ingieni. Nimesema mambo ya wakubwa yako siongei na wao. Unasikia? We have a threat to life. This is our forest.
I know, and they are coming.
Twende. Peleka, chukua mashini yote. Beba mashini yako tuingie ndani. Beba mashini. Nimesema beba mashini tuingie ndani.
Hakuna shida mheshimiwa. Hakuna shida.
Hiyo bunduki ujipange vizuri na hiyo marisasi.
Hakuna mambo ya bunduki.
Piteni haraka haraka.
Hakuna mambo na bunduki. They are coming.
Pita haraka haraka.
Mheshimiwa anasema
nimesema mpite haraka haraka.
Ingia tuende.
Tumeshaongea na security committee. Nimeshaeleza mkubwa wenyu hapa anaitwa Kosgei na anajua kazi inaendelea. Formally managing director wa Kenya Railways ameandikia Kenya Forest. It has nothing to do, wameshapima miti wakiwa pamoja. Anajua ni miti 32 inakatwa na imehesabiwa. Gharama yake italipiwa na Kenya Railways. Hakuna mtu atazuia kazi kwa sababu we are saving life.
Na sasa
uhai ya watu ndio number 1.
Na kama ni hivyo Ngogoyo, kwa nini usinini muongee na sisi?
Wameshapima, wachana na ile Barkoko kazi yake anafikiwa na ripoti ile imetoka chini. Sawa sawa? Na mimi nimekuja hapa kama mwakilishi ya watu. Miti itakatwa. Na haijalishi mko wangapi. Miti itaendelea.
Hatutumii kifua Ngogoyo. Hatutumii kifua Ngogoyo. Kama kwa sababu
na hiyo lugha huyu anatumia, wacha nikueleze. Watu hivi unawaambia ati watashikwa. Watashikwa kwani hawa ni wizi wanakuja kufanya? Hapa si makaa inachomwa. Kazi ya Kenya Forest, lindeni msitu na muangalie wale wanaharibu msitu. Hapa hakuna mtu anaharibu msitu. Tunatengeneza mahali ya maji kutoka. Hii maji imeua watu 3 by saa hii. Mnataka tuendelee na watu kukufa?
Tukipita juu ya
hata heri kukufa na bunduki lakini sio kukufa na maji.
Leo hii mtu wangapi wamekufa hapa kwa
watoto wawili wa shule wamesinga hapa.
Wacha watoto. Mama alifikiwa pale jana.
Sasa hiyo ni tabia gani sasa? What kind of argument is that?
Mama alinyang'anywa simu akashikwa na nguvu. Sasa
mheshimiwa,
na hii askari wetu wa Ololua hawezi access huku mtu akiwa kwa shida. Utafanya nini?
Kuongea vile unaongea. Follow the law what? Ni sheria gani itafuata? Ni sheria gani?
Na processiwa hiyo barua.
It has already been processed.
People are going to die until the barua is processed.
Siwe ulize mkubwa yako.
Watu walipigwa.
Usikuje kusema you've been told what. Barchok, wacha nikueleze hapa inaitwa Ololua.
And we will not. How long are we going to wait? It is your land, but less respect. Wewe unaongea na chama.
Sasa how long are we? SGR ilipotengenezwa kuna mahali pale iko na underpass ambayo inarudisha maji nyuma. Hiyo underpass watu 3 wamekufa ndani yake. Imezuia usafiri ya watu kutoka area inaitwa Kianogo kwenda mpaka Ololua. Watoto wengi wa shule kwa sababu shule zote ziko pande moja wamekuwa kizuiliwa. In charge ambaye ni Chief Forest Conservator ametuma askari zaidi ya 50 waje wasimamishe shughuli ya kukata miti tukiwa na nia ya kuokoa maisha. Kama mmoja ambaye amehudumu kwa kamati ya bunge, the right to life is number 1 kwa chochote. Tunaokoa maisha, hatuwezi okoa miti kabla tuokoe maisha. Maisha ndio tunaokoa kwanza. Tukiongea saa hii, daraja ya maji bado iko, hakuna gari inaweza kupita hapo. Ile ya kustaajabisha zaidi, dam kubwa ambayo iko hapa ambayo inabeba maji imeshafanywa hydrological survey. Tumehesabu miti pamoja na in charge ambaye ako hapa anaitwa Kosgei, wamehesabu ni miti 32 ambayo inakatwa. Shirika la Kenya Railways imeandikia Kenya Forest barua na wamejicommit kulipa miti yote, lakini kwanza waokoe uhai na maisha ya watu ambao wanatumia hii barabara. Hii ni baadhi ya zile barabara ambazo ziko na malalamiko kwa sababu baada ya mvua kubwa, mvua yote ya Ngong na area yote ya mlimani, maji yanakuja hapa. Nataka nimzungumzie waziri wetu wa mambo ya misitu. Forest ya Ololua ni yetu. Wanataka wakuja wafanye mambo ya kufence, wana fundraise pesa, lakini hasara ile wameleta kwa maisha ya watu kupitia hii forest haitaendelea vile imekuwa.
So there is a problem. And I believe when there was some tree lodging from Karura Forest, yes, we do condemn Duale, but even though he didn't give a satisfactory statement on it, but he at least responded. And one of the problems I've realized, and I've realized that if you compare Uhuru Kenyatta cabinet back then and William Ruto's cabinet, I don't know whether they are timid or they are threatened, or probably it is just by design that they normally don't respond to public inquiries. The exercise happening in Senate is normally just a formality with planned questions, people even bribing legislators so that anaulizwa maswali rahisi and then it goes there. So the government is not very responsive to public inquiries. The kind of activity that Nani does, for example, if we cannot say that this matter was raised this week, then we are waiting until next week on Monday for government spokesman to respond. On this one, there is something going on, and this is why I believe the media must not dismiss Rigathi. Yes. And you know, even the Governance Watch organization, civil society organizations, when something is raised by Rigathi, I know there is a level of, I know Rigathi is also someone who exaggerates. Yes, ukimsikia kama ni kitu anayajua kwa exaggerate kweli. And is very lethal in the tongue. And true that he's also bitter that he was impeached, and it is human to be bitter. Personally, I don't find any offense when someone feels Rigathi is bitter. Yes, he was a deputy president, so he was impeached, he can be bitter. But with all that, those are personal attributes. With all that, there is every reason to listen to something, probably to wait a minute, and when he raises something, he could be speaking from a point of knowledge. And the reason why, and again, you cannot dismiss the fact that he was in government for 2 years. Yes. Why am I saying he should not be dismissed? Because there could be disgruntled William Ruto's cabinet insiders speaking through Gachagua. I told you they have not spoken. Do you want to tell me that in the cabinet, hapa or easy ministries, do you want to tell me they don't know what's going on? Yeah, because there is a big probability that Rigathi has insiders. Rigathi has loyalists inside William Ruto's government. And with the next 2 years, this loyalist, you know, in the next, siasa venye unaenda, hapa mbele you will see cabinet reducing, avoiding public confrontations with Gachagua, because at the right time, some of them might leave cabinet to go and seek elective posts. And they might join the murky politics outside here. So there could be cabinet insiders, and that is my position on this. Key cabinet positions, because according to what he's alluding to, ni kama anapata hiyo intelligence. Anaipata. And he is standing, this is what Raila used to do between 2013 to 2017. And by the time we went for 2017, he really had a very strong bid against former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, Talanta Hela Stadium is being built by Chinese conglomerate. And it is called China Road and Bridge Corporation. But it's also under close monitoring or supervision of the military. You need to listen to Rigathi, because probably it is the contractor that is raising some question on this. It is the contractor that is raising this matter, or even the military ranks. The ones around that project are raising questions about this. And so you ignore Rigathi, but there is a legitimate call here. The other reason is this. The media must step in. Rigathi cannot do it alone. He cannot. And the parliament that is supposed to oversight, parliament is already captured, it is wanting. And that is why I started this podcast by saying the handshakes are not good. And I believe even before, all the way, before 2010, the first handshake was 2007. Even before 2007, we need to have a country where we have government and opposition. And the best way is this. We must have free, fair, and verifiable elections. From that point, when we reach to a point where we accept this as it, let the loser remain the opposition. Because look at the kind of confusion now we have. The opposition that is supposed to oversight government is in bed with the government, only changing goalposts and smiling. You know, there is a video of Raila saying, I'm not in government, and he's saying it while smiling. Now, the last aspect is this. This could be a template of massive land grabbing scheme. You know, yesterday, I was looking at the Twitter threads from Nyakundi. Hey? And what were Kericho, by the way, what's happening there? Hey? Kericho ni kama headquarters of grabbing land. Yani, every story is just about land. Every story is just about land. And that is why I believe if this can go this way, then how many will go that way? Yes. If someone can just walk to a forest and shelve some acres and build a hotel there, I don't want to believe, I don't think government is building a hotel in Ngong Forest. Yes, the hotel is supposed to serve because the stadium is there. It's a good idea to have that hotel, sawa. But is it government? Is it an individual? Then is it allowed? How? Just need to, you have a good idea. You just need to make it clear. You just need to be transparent. It's not a bad idea to build a hotel close to that Talanta stadium. It's not a bad idea because, of course, it's an idea. But then you just need to be transparent. Just that. No one is even complaining about it. It's just about, weka kwa meza watu waone. Thank you.